When at all costs, falsehoods, hypocrisy, cruelty, and the ends will justify the means is and always will be the creed of supervillains. That's so true, Scott Snyder. Pity you sided with the villains. In storytelling, one of the marks of a good villain is that they genuinely believe they're fighting the good fight. They're completely committed to the cause, unwilling or unable to see their own actions as anything but just. This commitment is so great that even when they know that what they're doing is wrong, maybe because it's the very thing that's been done to them, they will justify it as okay. This is what we've been seeing with the far left comic book pros over the last year. We've seen them support, say, and do things they would never condone if someone did it to them. We've seen it with that Umbrella guy getting doxxed, with Peter Simeti being attacked, with Ethan Van Sciver being threatened, Mark Waid targeting Antarctic press, and even with them trashing Stan Lee within minutes of his death. And in the best case scenario, most of the left-leaning pros will ignore it or give weak "that's not cool bro" responses. Most of these folks don't really have a problem with doxing, false flagging, threats of violence, dogpiling, and poisoning the well. They just don't like it when they're on the receiving end of it. The ones who do actually have a problem with it have learned to keep their mouths shut out of fear. We've seen what happens if someone dares to agree that going after consumers and fans is wrong. But every now and then, even the zaniest people on the far left speak some common sense. And that's what happened with Scott Snyder. He posted this tweet. It's a bizarre comment because it's almost self-aware. Snyder made the SJW rounds a few weeks ago after being chastised by professional damsel Heather Antos. Before that, he was mostly mum on the criticism about SJW-themed comics. I'm pretty sure the dude leans to the left, but I'm also sure he's probably more balanced than his suck-up rant made him look. Snyder knows that people like me will read his tweet and apply it to the far left, but he also knows that the people he sided with aren't as pure as a driven snow as they claim. It's just that he's existing in this weird state of cognitive dissonance, or fear that revealing his disagreement might get him targeted. And that makes me ask one simple question. Why are you siding with supervillains, Scott? Let's take your tweet piece by piece. When at all costs. We've seen this happen over the past 2 years. We've seen how the people you've sided with, Scott, have targeted folks like John Malin and the Brightwisers and Peter Simeti for daring to express their own opinions. Lying about them, blacklisting them, attacking them and their families has all been fair game. We've seen this play out with the Brightwisers in particular, with them literally pleading to be left alone by human Jigglypuff Tim Doyle. The toll it took on them didn't matter. All that mattered was that Doyle succeeded in ruining their lives and reputation. This is the type of person you're siding with, Scott. You mentioned falsehoods. Okay, well, let's take a look at the guy you just backed, King Baby himself, Mark Waid. Waid is currently being sued in part for defamation, specifically for accusing a guy he knows isn't racist of being part of white supremacist groups. Make no mistake, Mark Waid knows full well that diversity in comics isn't racist, sexist, homophobic, or transphobic. Those are just lies of convenience, as a friend of mine likes to say. They let Waid tarnish DNC's character, and it works because people like you, Scott, who also know full well that these are lies, go along with it. And why do you go along with it? Because DNC told some salty jokes? Because he used bad words? No, because he called the people you're siding with on their bullshit and they don't like it. They want to shut him and anyone like him down, and it doesn't matter how. If that means branding the man with biracial kids of being racist, well, the ends will justify the means, won't it, Scott? Remember, these are the people you're siding with. You talk hypocrisy? Let's stick with Gollum for a minute. Waid went on the Nerdist channel and lied about why he's being sued. He later claimed in a Facebook post that the defamation element of the suit was a more damaging one, so that's why he only mentioned that, and not the tortious interference part. But let's be real. Not telling people information that you know will change their minds is a lie by omission. Waid knows it, you know it, and everybody else knows it. But you still back his legal fund. Waid acts like he's the victim, but the man has a documented history of making threats, harassing, insulting, and targeting people online and in real life. And every time someone posts a leak or a picture proving Wade's piss-poor behavior, the crowd you side with goes dead silent, Scott. Suddenly they don't give a shit about someone spamming another person's email, or talking about fucking people with chainsaws, or riling up hate against an Asian comic book publisher to the point that the man considered suicide. Damn near drove Peter Simeti to commit suicide. Who cares? He thanked people we don't like for buying his books. Fuck him. Those are the people you're siding with, Scott. And it's not like it started with Peter Simeti or DNC. This goes back to Doug Ernst, with guys like Dan Slott literally following Doug around on social media. He's had this 10-year-long hate boner for Doug. I guess at some point we should give him credit for the epic edging. But honestly, do you think that's normal? Do you think it's okay for Dan Slott to do something like impersonate someone online to ruin that person's reputation, which he did, and then brag about doing, which he also did? Talk about cruelty. Let me say it again. The people you're siding with almost drove Peter Simeti to commit suicide over him thanking people for buying his comics. All the moral busybodies on your side were fueling the fire, going after the dude with no hesitation. And when he said on his channel that he thought about killing himself, where were the public statements of support from the pros who go on and on about being against bullying and harassment? Nowhere to be seen. And that's because the ends will justify the means, Scott. Simeti crossed them, so it's okay to do whatever you want to him. You learned this lesson when professional damsel Heather Antos checked you a few months ago. You remember that, don't you? The flock of wannabes had some retarded nonsense stuck in their craws, and all the SJW pros were bending the knee to Antos. But you were silent because you had the temerity, the unmitigated gall to get your kids ready to start school rather than defend this witless white woman's non-existent honor on Twitter. They chewed you out about it, and you apologized and bent the knee. That's the crowd you're running with, Scott. People who think that their Twitter feeds should be more important to you than your children. You saw how quickly they turned on you. They did the same thing to J. Scott Campbell. They dug up 8-year-old artwork from his fairy tale series and accused the man of racism, cultural appropriation, misogyny, rape apologism, and pedophilia. Let's just run through this pile of stupid, just in case you forgot. Campbell drew an adult version of a tied-up tiger lily from Peter Pan. Because she's a Native American character, and Campbell isn't Native American, it's cultural appropriation for him to even draw her. But having drawn her, it's also racist because it perpetuates the white man's bondage of the natives. Then it was just a hop, skip, and a jump to accusing Campbell of sexism against women because Lily was drawn as attractive, and this is clearly a bondage scene. Of course, every slab of sexism comes with a side of bullshit, accusation of rape apologism, because clearly Lily can't consent. Ergo, vis-a-vis, concordantly, Campbell is promoting rape. But the best, the absolute best, was the accusation of pedophilia because, and stay with me here, he drew Tiger Lily as an adult when she's a child character in the original Peter Pan story. Let me repeat that, just so the stupid sinks in. He drew her as an adult, therefore it's pedophilia. Whoa, that is some powerful stupid. Now, no one with an IQ over 2 took this seriously, but the people you sided with piled on this man for damn near a week over some pictures that had been around for almost a decade and hadn't sparked any previous complaints. You think it stops there? No, not at all. Future Lolicon writer Chelsea Kane thought she was sticking it to men by writing her Man-Eaters book, only to be attacked by the trans community for not including transgender girls in a book about girls getting their periods. This is a crowd of people that you're siding with, Scott. People who attacked a feminist writer for daring to write bad feminist fiction. Wait, let me correct that. Feminist fiction that doesn't fit every little niche idea that they have. But that's not the stupid part. Here's the stupid part. They already knew this. They already knew this would be the story because Chelsea Kane had said so in an interview or something like that months before. She already said she wasn't going to focus on transgender kids because it didn't fit her story, and the people you side with were fine with that, Scott, until the book came out. These are the folks you're running with. People who think it's okay to false flag videos they don't like. People who think it's okay to abuse the reporting systems on social media to take down someone's profile. People who think it's okay to label someone a Nazi, encourage violence against them, and relish the idea of someone doing it. People who talk about bashing folks' head in with a bat. Yeah, that one comes from your former student and current embarrassment to shitty people, Magdalene Visaggio. People who wish someone died in an IED blast and lied about that person being a wife beater. That one came from failed kink artist Michelle Perez. People digging through housing records to try to find dirt on a professional artist, revealing a very traumatic personal loss this person experienced to the public, all while trying to shame him. That one came from living water balloon Tim Doyle. The same people who complain about name-calling, harassment, bullying, stalking, and threats are the first to jump to do them, and they relish the suffering they cause. Think about that, Scott. That's the crowd you're siding with. The crowd that unpersons people by calling them the worst names imaginable, who then enjoy the misery and suffering caused by their antics. Who does that sound like, besides 1950 Superman? I know you think these guys are the heroes, but all this stuff makes them look like a fourth-rate Legion of Doom. These are the people you're siding with. People who act like they literally say, when at all costs, the ends will justify the means in their super-secret clam slam parties. And they're totally committed to their cause. They believe in it like it was a religion. Well, men never do evil so completely and cheerfully as when they do it from a religious conviction. Looks like you guys spent so much time trying to die heroes on that hill of self-righteous indignation that you've lived to become the villains. Maybe one day you'll be wise enough to see it. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.